Hola, clase. Unfortunately, my time in your class is coming to an end. But before I go, I would love to review some two commands with you and go over some new vocab. So I will share my PowerPoint. I'm getting faster at this. Perfecto. So, los mandatos de tú, or two commands. So let's just do a quick review. Commands are used when ordering or telling someone to do something. Positive two commands are formed by using the present él, ella, or usted form of the verb. So, por ejemplo, habla por teléfono. You talk on the phone. Yes, you do that thing. Forming negative two commands has more steps because Spanish is extra and we just need that in our lives. So our first step, you are going to take hablar and you're going to change it to the yo form, hablo. Step number 2, you're going to drop the o at the end and you're going to have habl, which means nothing. And then your third and final step, you're going to add the opposite ending. So because hablar is an AR verb, you're going to use the ER-IR to ending, and you're going to end up with hables, and there is your negative two command. So if you want to tell someone not to talk, you'll say, hey, you, no hables. See? Alternatively, if you're using an ER-IR verb, like comer, you will change that ending to the AR endings, so that would be comas. Irregular verbs, we have a lot of those in Spanish. It's going to be a fun time. Decir is going to become di. Salir is going to become sal. Hacer is going to become has. Ser is going to become se. Ir is going to become ve. Tener is going to become ten. Venir is going to become ven. And poner is going to become pon. Half of these, super fun. If you can't remember necessarily what they're supposed to be, you can just chop off that ending. So for salir, if you chop off the IR, you're going to end up with sal. The same thing will go for tenir, venir, y poner. So that's a really good way if you know, hey, I know tener is irregular, I can't remember what it is. Oh yeah, it's one of those, we can just chop off the ending and it's 10. Unfortunately, you can't do that with all of them or life would be super easy. So for decir, hacer, ser, and ir, you're just going to have to remember the as, se, and ve. Again, feel free to ask Profe to pause if you have any questions or want to talk more about something. I'm just kind of going through these because I can't see you, I'm just a video. So I'm just going through things. I know I tend to talk fast, so don't hesitate to ask Profe to pause. So now we're going to talk about pronombres, our pronouns. So with all of your affirmative commands, that's yes, you're telling someone, yes, do that thing. I want you to do that thing. If you have an object pronoun, you're going to attach them directly to the end of your conjugated verb, which is what we call the imperative form. So for example, comprar el anillo will become compralo. If you have both a direct and an indirect object pronoun, because you can have both, you're going to attach both of them to the ending and you're going to put that indirect object pronoun first and then your direct object pronoun. So compralo becomes comprámelo. So if you noticed in those previous examples, once we attached those pronouns, our original verb gained an accent. It got a little extra little hat. So that's so that we keep the stress on the right syllable. In languages, English is less important, but especially in Spanish, if you have your accent on your wrong syllable, you could end up saying a different word. It's like bebe and bebe. One is you or he, she, you drink, and one is un bebé, a baby. So if your affirmative command has more than one syllable, you're going to put a written accent into your verb. So let's start with our command that we used on the last example, compra. If you add los to the end of that, you're going to end up with compralos. Note that we put that accent on that O. We put that there because that's where the emphasis is originally in the word comprar. It's on that O. If that is difficult for you to follow, I also learned in high school that you put it on the second to last syllable. To me, that's more confusing. I prefer the way Profe teaches it with just keep it where the emphasis is normally. But I just wanted to put that out there. If that's easier for you to remember and to work with, feel free to think of it like that. Same thing when you have both of your pronouns, it's going to be compramelos. Without that, it would be compramelos, which just, it sounds weird. It sounds like you don't really know what you're saying. You don't want to put the wrong the emphasis on the wrong syllable, or you're just going to sound funky. The only exception to this rule is when your command only has one syllable. So for example, as, that's one syllable. So when you add one pronoun, it becomes aslo. That a is still taking that accent just naturally, just the way we say it. So we don't need a written accent there. But if we were to add two pronouns because we want to be extra, we would have to add that accent so that it doesn't become asmelo. Again, emphasis, syllable, you want them in the right places. So now we'll move on to negative commands. So when you want to tell someone, hey, don't do that. This is a lot easier because your pronouns are going to come before your conjugated verb. No compra el anillo. Don't buy the ring. No lo compra. Don't buy it. If you have both indirect and direct object pronouns, again, the indirect object pronoun is going to come before your direct object, just like in our affirmative commands. So no me lo compra. Don't buy it for me. This is super awesome. You don't have to worry about accents because you're not giving your verb extra syllables. You're just adding words to your sentence. It's super nice. You don't have to think about where's that emphasis? Where is it? I almost said emphasis again because I think that joke is really funny and it just sticks in my head. But you'd want your emphasis to stay on that O. And so since with negative commands, we get to put our pronouns in front, it doesn't really change the verb all too much. Awesome, we reviewed -2 commands and +2 commands. That's so many commands. We're gonna move on to our vocabulario from 3.2. I also threw in a couple of review words that you should have seen before. So this vocab is gonna tell us how to give directions, how to interpret directions, all that fun stuff. So we're gonna start with some important verbs. First, we have salir, which is to leave. You also learned that it's to go out. But in the context of directions and giving directions, you're going to say leave. Caminar is to walk, and andar is also to walk. So the difference between these two and when you're going to use them is in parentheses. Words are hard. Parentheses there. So caminar is to walk with a destination in mind. You know where you're going. And andar is kind of to just walk aimlessly, like meandering around without a destination. And then we have cruzar, which is to cross. Doblar is to turn. Parar is to stop. Seguir is to keep going. Subir is to go up a street. And bajar is to go down a street. So let's look at some sustantivos, which means nouns. Las cuadras is blocks. So por dos cuadras is for 2 blocks. So if you want to tell someone, hey, go for so many blocks, you would say por however many cuadras. La avenida, that's a cognate, it's avenue. El cruce is intersection. To remember this one, I remember that cruce sounds like cross. So where streets cross is an intersection. So el cruce is an intersection. La esquina is embassy. El semáforo is traffic light. And I keep thinking there's another one on that slide, but there's not. So let's remember our a la izquierda to the left, a la derecha to the right. That's going to be important, especially if you're telling someone, hey, turn this way, turn that way. It's on the left, it's on the right, all of that fun stuff. Always remember la rima if you need help with your direction words. So now we're going to go through some examples. On the left, we have the English version. On the right, I'm going to put up a Spanish translation. Feel free to have your notes out if Profe wants to pause the video and let you guys do the translations. That's fine. I'll try to go through each number slowly so there's a chance to pause before I put that answer up. But I'm just going to go through them because I am a video. So our first sentence, number 1, is going to be leave the house. Our verb for leave is salir. Nope, it's salir. I promise I know how to speak Spanish. And that's one of our irregulars. So we're going to say sal la casa. Number 2, walk for 2 blocks. We're telling someone, hey, walk for 2 blocks. Camina por 2 cuadros. Do not walk without a destination. That's our number 3. That's a pretty good command. If you do that, you're going to get lost. So that's going to translate to no andes sin una destinación. Number 4, cross the intersection. That's going to be cruza en el cruce, which is really fun to say. I love it so much. Number 5, we got 2 commands in one number. I was going to say 1 sentence, but there's 2 sentences. So your command is do not turn right, turn left. No dobles a la derecha, dobla a la izquierda. Number 6 is going to be stop at the traffic light. This is really good advice, especially if that traffic light is rojo. You definitely want to stop at that traffic light. Para en el semáforo. A fun thing about parar, it's kind of like nadar. If you conjugate it in the LAO's dead form, it also looks like a different word. So you kind of just have to guess based on context whether this means stop at the traffic light or for the traffic light. This one is pretty obvious. Most sentences will hopefully have context clues. Let's move on to number 7. Do not keep going. This is going to be one of our negative commands. No sigues. Super straightforward and easy. These last 3 are like pretty easy, let me tell you. Like, not to toot my own horn or anything. All right, let's move on to number 8. I don't know why I'm doing numbers. It's just fun. Go up a street. That's a pretty straightforward command. Let's tell someone to go up a street. Sube una calle. Muy bien. All right, let's move on to our last one, which is number 9. Words. Do not go down a street. So this is going to be super similar to that numero ocho, but it's negative and it's down instead of up. No vayas una calle. Perfecto. You guys survived another lesson with me. Are you so proud of yourselves? Well, that is your review of the -2 commands and some introduction to our map directions that we are learning in our 3.2 vocabulary. Like I said, this is kind of my last week here in the classroom. I'll hopefully be able to see you guys for 1 or 2 more class periods. I'll also be having a study jam for your test. See, this video you're going to watch on Tuesday, so it should be tomorrow, Wednesday morning from 8 to 9. Feel free to pop in, ask me questions, all that fun stuff. There will be a post up on the Google Classroom. But other than that, I think Profe is going to do some more review with you. And if I'm in your class, which I will be for 2nd period, I won't be for 1st. I'll be there to help you with your review as well and your practica. But other than that, adios. Thank you so much for having me in your classroom and for dealing with me just being a weird person popping into your Google Meets. But adiós, hasta luego y buena suerte en sus exámenes.